Hello everyone, and welcome to this short talk where I will be presenting research my colleagues and I conducted on the efficacy of the European Space Agency's, or ESA's, strategic communication. In short, we analyzed ESA's communication strategy and found much potential for improvement. Our findings might not only be relevant for ESA, but publicly funded scientific organizations in general. ESA as an organization which is funded by taxpayer money needs to legitimize these public expenditures, and the best way to engage in this legitimization process is arguably strategic public relations. Essentially, ESA is in a position where it needs to build and maintain mutually beneficial relationships with stakeholders and publics in an ethical and socially responsible manner. In doing so, different publics with different needs and attitudes need to be considered. We therefore aimed at answering the following three questions. What are the characteristics of ESA's communication strategy? Considering Germany is ESA's largest monetary contributor, which German publics have which attitudes towards ESA? And finally, to which extent does ESA's communication strategy acknowledge and ethically address these attitudes? To answer these questions, we conducted two studies. The first involved a content analysis of strategic communication documents, where we identified ESA's communication issues, goals, objectives, tactics, stakeholders, and the means by which ESA planned to evaluate their communication. Communication goals, objectives, and tactics were further analyzed in order to see which PR paradigm fits ESA's communication best. We found that ESA's communication strategy did not exhibit the theoretical or conceptual foundations of normative strategic communication as extensively laid out in the literature. The results also show that there was almost a complete lack of systematic evaluation of ESA's communication, which includes crucial stakeholder analysis. Considering the complete lack of stakeholder analysis, it comes to no surprise that the main focus of ESA's strategic communication was to raise awareness among the general public without considering a pluralistic society with diverse needs and attitudes. This one-size-fits-all approach to communication seems to be common in science PR practice. And with that, we come to the last point, which is that we can clearly attribute ESA's communication strategy to the one-way asymmetrical PR paradigm, also known as the press agentry or publicity paradigm, which focuses on propaganda and advocacy. The second study we conducted involved a national survey of German citizens investigating public's attitudes towards ESA and space activities, but also knowledge and behavior relevant in the ESA context. Although our sampling procedure was not optimal due to resource limits, we achieved an acceptable sample size, even after data cleaning and weighting. Our final sample represented a population which was more aware of ESA and more interested in science than what could be expected from the German population. There were a number of interesting results. For instance, individuals did not see space activities as particularly relevant for their personal lives. They were also uncertain about the risks space activities might bear. Different types of space activities were also perceived differently. For example, Earth observation and space science were seen as particularly exciting. Most importantly, however, there were statistically significant differences and trends between and among different socio-demographic groups. Trust in ESA emerged as an important mediator for attitudes towards ESA and space activities. We can draw several conclusions and recommendations from both studies. In general, there needs to be a shift from merely trying to get the word out towards true participation, meaning collaborative decision-making and co-creation of value with diverse publics. In order to maximize the efficacy of any communication strategy, there needs to be a clear conceptual understanding of strategy and communication, while research and evaluation are essential for properly and ethically taking diverse publics with diverse needs and attitudes into account. There is also a need for more risk and crisis communication to foster trustful relationships with publics. I would like to finish this off by mentioning that this research has not yet been peer-reviewed, although a submission to a journal is on its way. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to contact me or any of my colleagues.